We're constantly shown this one version of what a millionaire is supposed to look like. But the data tells a very different story. So today, we're going to dig in and find out how people actually build a seven-figure net worth.
Go ahead, take a second. What comes to mind? Is it some sprawling mansion, maybe a fleet of exotic sports cars, or someone who's never worked a day in their life because of a giant trust fund?
Yeah, that's the picture Hollywood and social media have absolutely perfected. A life of just, effortless luxury where wealth is just something you're born with. It's a fun fantasy for sure, but it creates this huge gap between how we think wealth happens and how it really happens.
What if the real story, the one backed up by tons of data, is completely different? A story that's way less about luck and who your parents are, and a whole lot more about discipline and the choices you make every day. Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack using some incredible research from Ramsey Solutions and the classic book, The Millionaire Next Door.
So our first big idea completely flips the script. The overwhelming majority of millionaires, they aren't born into it. They build it themselves.
Let this number really sink in for a minute. According to the biggest study of its kind, a staggering 79% of millionaires got zero inheritance. We're not talking about a small inheritance. We're talking not a single dime from their family.
And it doesn't stop there. Another study, this one from Fidelity Investments, found that 88% of all millionaires are self-made. These numbers aren't just flukes. This is the norm. For almost everyone, wealth is something you achieve, not something you're given.
And this really shows you where most of them started. A full 8 out of 10 came from families with middle class or even lower incomes. So this isn't a story of the rich just getting richer. It's a story of regular people figuring out the formula.
Okay, so if they weren't just handed all this money, how in the world did they get it? Well, it turns out there's this surprisingly consistent playbook that they all seem to follow. And spoiler alert, it has almost nothing to do with being flashy.
This quote right here, this is the foundation of the entire playbook. The big secret isn't about what you earn. It's all about what you keep. It's a total mental shift away from showing off a high-income lifestyle and toward just quietly building up your assets.
Across all the studies, these 4 habits pop up again and again. They are the absolute non-negotiable pillars of building wealth. It really is a formula that comes down to hard work, planning, and discipline. Let's take a closer look at that third one, consistent investing.
And this is so important. They aren't gambling on some risky stock they heard about. They're not chasing get-rich-quick schemes. The path is methodical and, let's be honest, kind of boring. It's just consistently putting money into retirement accounts like a 401k and just letting it grow year after year after year.
And their spending habits are just as disciplined. I mean, check this out. The research shows 93% of them use coupons, and almost 3/4 have never carried a credit card balance, ever. This isn't about being cheap. It's about being intentional and refusing to let your lifestyle creep up and eat away at all your progress.
Okay, this brings us to a fantastic analogy from The Millionaire Next Door that just perfectly explains this whole philosophy. It's all about offense versus defense.
Think about it like this. Your income, that's your offense. And yeah, it's important. But your defense, your budgeting, your saving, your smart spending habits, that's what actually wins the game. The book says great defense is the foundation stone of wealth accumulation. You could have a rockstar income, an amazing offense, but if your defense is terrible, you will never, ever build wealth.
And if you need proof of just how powerful a great defense is, look at this. 2/3 of millionaires never had a single year where they earned $100,000 or more. This proves, without a shadow of a doubt, it's not about having a huge salary. It's about what you do with the money you have.
So beyond just the financial habits, The Millionaire Next Door found 7 core traits that kind of make this whole disciplined lifestyle possible in the first place.
We've already talked about the first one, living below your means. But look deeper. They're masters of efficiency with their time and their money. And here's a big one. They value financial freedom way more than showing off their social status. And that mindset, it extends to their families. They don't provide endless financial support or economic outpatient care, as the book calls it, to their adult kids. They make sure everyone is self-sufficient. These traits are basically the operating system for building wealth.
All right, another huge piece of the puzzle is choosing the right career. And once again, the reality is probably not what you're expecting.
Now, forget about the corner office.
Just 15% of millionaires ever held a big-shot senior leadership role like CEO or VP. In fact, 93% of them say they built their wealth through just plain old hard work, not by climbing to the very top of the corporate ladder.
And here they are, the top 5 jobs that produce the most millionaires. Okay, engineer, accountant, attorney. That kind of makes sense. But did you see that one? Teacher! This is the ultimate proof that defense wins championships. For a teacher to become a millionaire on a teacher's salary, their financial defense has to be absolutely world-class. It just proves the habits matter so much more than the paycheck.
But the research does point to a major accelerator: owning your own business. Even what the book calls dull normal businesses, think welding contractors or pest controllers, create these incredible opportunities for wealth, mainly because the owners are in complete control of their own financial destiny.
The authors of The Millionaire Next Door actually came up with a name for these people. They call them PAs, or prodigious accumulators of wealth. These are the folks who are just exceptionally good at turning their income into actual wealth. They are the masters of financial defense.
So, at the end of the day, here's the point. Becoming a millionaire isn't like winning the lottery. It's the predictable result of a lifestyle built on discipline, consistent effort, and focusing on the long term. And you know what? Countless millionaires say that the process of building it was actually more rewarding than finally having it.
Because the data is crystal clear. For most people, you can't have both. The choice between appearing wealthy and actually becoming financially independent, well, that's a decision we all have to make, every single day. The path is there, it's clear, but it requires choosing the quiet satisfaction of security over the loud applause of status.